Hello and welcome everyone to Pop Culture Shark, a podcast about all things pop culture. I'm Caleb,
And I'm FinalMonkey.
and today we're changing it up a little bit. I actually have the stream set up. My co-host here is out of town, and so it was just easier for me to uh, take the reins. Daddy gave Caleb the keys to the Corvette. Is what's happening here.
Yeah, it's like student driver. I'm in the passenger seat, just holding on to the "Oh Jesus" handle, praying we don't crash.
Yes. This is a lot of fun. But until now, I actually haven't really gotten into the cockpit of our system, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun things going on. There's not a whole lot of news this week. There's just some rumors, and we're not gonna. If we went over rumors, we'd just be the rumor show. We might be like the TMZ of pop culture, or TMZ is pop culture. Regardless, we're gonna go into the weekend checkup. So, how's your weekend been?
It's been pretty good. I'm over at my parents' house, just kind of chilling for Memorial Day weekend. We've been working a 2,000 piece Spider-Verse puzzle, and it's a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So I'm realizing I know about 90% of the characters on there, but there's some weird ones. Like today, like the one his name was Spider Monster or something. He looks like a moose. I don't know. It's weird.
Spider Monster.
Spider Verse. It. I thought about doing a separate video on this because we're thinking about doing some separate videos besides the live shows about how Dan Slott's all like, I came up with Spider Verse. I'm a genius. It's like, the Spider-Man animated series did this 20 years ago. Yeah, that guy.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought he was a moose. I was like, what is that? And it was like Spider Monster. I'm like, oh, okay.
Spider Moose.
Yeah, Spider Moose is more interesting, I think. So
that sounds like a Kevin Smith creation, honestly.
yeah,
Like
or
Tusk.
like if it was like in National Lampoon, they're always going to Wally World or whatever, the moose. Yeah, something they would have there.
Yeah. You know what? I love those episodes of the animated series.
Of Clerks. Or no,
Oh
you're talking
no,
about Spider-Man animated
that's-
series. Yeah,
yeah.
Clerks animated series is great too. But yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah.
You know what? You're gonna have to introduce me because I don't think I've seen a single Clerks movie.
We can talk about Kevin Smith another night. He was fun for a while, and then you know how some people they make their best work when they're in their 20s, and then as they get older, they kind of lose that edge.
George Lucas, yeah.
Yeah. That it's or like musicians are the same way. Kevin Smith is very much that. You have
Gotcha.
Brian Michael Bendis and
Frank Miller.
and if they go through like a life changing thing where they almost die, like happened to Bendis,
Stephen King, yeah.
Yeah, everything changes after that point. And
That could be. I'm just naming all these people. This could be its own topic.
Yeah.
Like creators who were once great, but then had near-death experiences, and that changed their work. I guess.
But and that can have the opposite too. Like George Lucas almost died in a car wreck, and then he went on to make Star Wars.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, the 2-part finale of Spider-Man the animated series though it is the original Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And if Dan Slott says he came up with that idea on his own, he's lying to you. So anyhow, I've also been watching some upcoming movie trailers. I don't know how or why, but Barbie movie keeps looking incredible, and it's like a mix of the Lego movie mixed with the Brady Bunch movie, and I'm kind of down for it.
Yeah, and it's also like it's almost like this is what Olivia Wilde wanted "Don't Worry, Darling" to be.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing in that last trailer was whenever Barbie and Ken are getting their mugshots, And Ken says, "And Ken."
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, yeah. His little like sign thing that he puts up with his name,
Yeah.
it says "And Ken." It's amazing.
That's funny.
I mean, like I have no idea. And here's the thing, I still don't know what this movie's about. Like, obviously, it's about Barbie going into the real world, but I don't know. Like, there's so many mixed signals, and I don't know what message they're trying to put
I have
forth.
a pretty good idea. Like the part where she's crying or she's talking to the older lady and she's crying. I assume that's the creator of Barbie that she's talking to or something. So I have a decent idea what it's about, but I don't be surprised if this is like a surprise sleeper hit this summer. It's very interesting. So
Imagine the Barbie movie gets nominated.
I don't I could see it getting nominated for like costume design or something. But I don't know about like it would have to be a
This is
really good movie.
I I want Ryan Gosling to win his Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for the Barbie movie. That is what I want.
Other movies coming out. I really want to go see Across the Spider Verse. I mean, I have the money to go see it, but I'm hearing really good things in the reviews. Also, I'm hearing good reviews about or good reactions to Transformers. Although a lot of them are like Pete Davidson's also. I'm like, oh no.
That's never a selling point for me.
I was like, yeah, you're not selling me on this if you're talking about Pete Davidson. So, yeah, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I've just never gotten Pete Davidson. So
I don't know if he. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. I just don't know if he is. But
I say it because I just try to disparage people. You know,
sure.
But,
you know what? Speaking of movies coming out, I've heard so many fake reactions to the Flash movie that I don't know what to believe anymore.
yeah, and the people who have seen it, like I watched Chris Gore on Film Threat. The film they saw was an unfinished version. Like the ending scene is missing to keep a surprise. So I mean, it could affect the whole movie what that ending surprise is. You know.
Did he give his reaction? Like,
He said the first hour is annoying because it's like the Ezra Miller show, the two Ezra Millers, like goofy comedy. But then after that, once Michael Keaton shows up, he said he had a big smile on his face the rest of the movie.
you've heard about the big cameo that, I mean, like, it's already been like announced and like.
Well, so here's the thing: the pre-ticket sales are very low for this film. Like I think it's tracking like 70 million opening, which is really bad. And so I think they are trying to get people interested. So spoilers for next 30 seconds if you don't want to know. But they have now in the movie they are trying to bust Superman out of a facility. And it's revealed that in this new timeline that Nicolas Cage is Superman, who was famously supposed to play Superman. I think it was it Tim Burton's version they were making at one point.
Oh, who's what? It might have been Tim Burton's. It was a movie called Superman Lives.
Yeah,
I believe it was.
or it was either Kevin Smith was involved at one point, and it may have been the guy that was behind like the Wild Wild West movies. No, I might be getting that wrong. Anyhow, at one point there was a Superman movie.
It was Tim Burton and then somebody named John Peters, which was Wild Wild West guy. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I think Kevin Smith was telling stories about how the guy, the one that heads up at Warner Bros. Like, can you put a giant robot spider in the Superman movie? And Kevin Smith's like, what's this guy's deal with giant robot spiders? Anyhow, but I don't know if that's a selling point because unless you know the backstory that Nicolas Cage was supposed to be Superman at one point, why would that make Joe Normie want to go see this movie?
I told my friends about it, and they were more or less just confused.
Yeah, it's really weird.
I mean, I have one friend who got excited, but that's just because like, and this is like the weirdest thing that I've ever said because we realized this yesterday. He is the biggest Nicolas Cage fan I've ever met. Uh, and he didn't. He's like, no, I'm not, and I'm like, yes, you are. Like,
I,
you named your cat after Nicolas Cage. Like,
I think this is it's like a fan thing. Like when they in Teen Titans go to the movies, I think Nicolas Cage is Superman.
yeah,
It's just a little nod. I think it would be cooler if the surprise was it was a CGI Christopher Reeves was Superman, and then you had Michael Keaton and Christopher Reeves on screen together.
yeah.
Like I just got chills thinking about that.
You know what? I'd even okay, because you can go one of two ways. Because you could do like the deep fake thing, or
hmm
you don't do the deep fake thing and then you just do the same actor anyways. Because obviously, if you did that, you would want your deep fake actor to be Brandon Routh.
Yeah, and here's okay. So here's some actual spoilers towards the end of the film where the movie
Go
cut off that people saw
go ahead. I mean, like I'll see the movie, but I mean, I
at
don't
the
care for
end
spoilers.
when he fixes everything. Uh, Bruce Wayne is on his way, and the limo pulls up, and the door opens, and then that's where the film stopped. So you don't know who's about to get out of the car. Is it what's his face?
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck? Is it Michael Keaton? Is it a new Batman? We don't know. My hope is that it's Adam West. I would go crazy if it was Adam West that got out of the car.
Robert Pattinson.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about him. It very well. Oh dang it! I bet that's it. And I bet he's gonna be the Batman. Going, I hate this. Okay.
No, hold on. But here's the thing. If you're thinking they're using it to set up, I don't think Pattinson like they're playing Pattinson as a very young Batman.
Yeah,
He's not gonna have a kid.
that's true. That's true. That's true. Okay.
So like if anything, you know what? Let's go ahead. We're gonna make predictions. I don't want what you honestly think. I'm sorry. I don't want your wishes. I want what you honestly think. I think that door opens and it is Jensen Ackles.
I think it is. I don't know the actor's name. The guy that plays Negan, because he is.
Jeffrey
Oh,
Dean Morgan.
well, no, because he's Thomas Wayne, right?
Yep, he's Thomas Wayne.
Okay, that's what I was going off of. Then I don't know who it is. I haven't really
Okay.
thought about it.
Okay. So let's say this is where which honestly we can't go by anything anymore because we thought that Multiverse of Madness was an announcement of Krasinski being Mr. Fantastic, and
Yeah,
obviously not.
right. Yeah, because this was all made before James Gunn got involved, so he could just throw all this in the garbage. We don't know.
Oh, you know what? If it is before him, then it probably is Pattinson.
Or it
They
could be
added
that James Gunn had him add this scene. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. Like, no faith in this movie, but I really want to see it. Does that make sense?
I'm waiting for real word of mouth on this movie, and then I might watch it on HBO Max, or I might just fast forward to the Michael Keaton parts and just watch that.
No, what's really funny because, like I said, there's a bunch of fake reactions for the Flash, and Cameron was showing me this, and I'm like, "Here, Cameron, here's the thing. Here's what you've got to do to notice if these are actually real reactions in there or not." And he's like, "What?" You click on their Twitter profiles, and then in their bio it says hashtag Restore the Snyderverse. That's how you know it's not real. Oh man, I got to be honest. Like, I mean, like us, and by us I mean me and my peers, not us as in you and me. Because I know that you're on the other side. But Last Jedi lovers, we're not as bad as Snyderverse people, right?
I'm not sure the Snyderverse people really exist. I think they're all bots created by Snyder.
You think Zack Snyder's the one doing it?
Zack Snyder has been proven to be behind a lot of those shenanigans.
Jeez.
So I mean, I'm sure there are. I'm being a little facetious. There are some, but it's nowhere near as big as you think it is.
Yeah. Well, anyway, as far as
How's your weekend?
yeah, as far as me, we're getting off on tangents. This is what happens whenever I start the show, I guess.
Well, I'm a little bit more relaxed because I'm not at the control panel. I'm not having to.
I know.
Oh, do we have a viewer? Oh,
Yeah. But anyway, Tears of the Kingdom. That's what I've been doing. Tears of the Kingdom and Valorant. It's nice. I'm almost taking a break from fighting games, and it's like relaxing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because like fighting games are something that I would always take so seriously because I played those competitively. And now I just play Tears of the Kingdom. It's relaxing. And then even Valorant, which is a competitive shooter, I don't take it as seriously. I'm trying to better myself as a player. And even then, even whenever the toxicity hits in Valorant, it doesn't shock me because I know what I'm getting into.
Right. So what is Valorant, real quick?
Valorant is a hero shooter, kind of like Overwatch.
Okay.
That's made by Riot Games, who are the people who made League of Legends. And but where Valorant is like a deathmatch game mode where like you pick your character and you go on. Valorant is actually more akin to Counter-Strike, where it's you got to plant the bomb and you buy your guns, and so it's actually a mix of Counter-Strike and Overwatch. It's probably one of my favorite games right now.
Speaking of Overwatch, what a cluster cuss over there. What are they doing?
We're switching over to news. Let's talk about Overwatch. What?
They really shook up everything, saying Overwatch 2, and it's gonna, what was it, a PvE?
Yep,
mode?
there was gonna be a PvE mode that was gonna be like the second coming of Christ.
Yeah, that's the only reason they're doing Overwatch 2 was because of this. And then they're like, actually, everybody quit the company. We're not doing that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's unfortunate. And your son plays Overwatch, right?
He plays it daily. Yes, he's very good at it.
Whenever you guys were over, I saw him. He was like, I was impressed because he was doing like the eagle claw stuff with the controller. I'm like, wow, I didn't even have to teach him that.
Yeah, he's he's been playing those games since he was a little kid. I mean, not Overwatch in particular, but those types of games. So yeah, he's just very good.
So what was he excited for PvE, and now he's like,
he's just like stupid Blizzard, stupid Activision, yeah, just what the heck?
Yeah,
but you see this happen all the time with game companies over. They'll announce something, and it's like, don't announce stuff until it's ready for the game to come out. You just don't know what's going to happen during development,
Well, not even that. So what happened was the reason that Overwatch 1 is going really good, right?
Yeah.
And then they decide to announce Overwatch 2. And for some reason that actually makes Overwatch players like stop playing because they're waiting for 2. And they're like, oh man, we announced Overwatch 2 too early. Well, let's go ahead and release the free-to-play multiplayer. And so they released Overwatch 2 earlier than intended. It's just a mess. Did you also hear what's going on with World of Warcraft, speaking of Blizzard?
I don't know exactly what's going on. I just know people are mad.
So everyone has been loving World of Warcraft Classic, where they go back to Classic. It goes up to Lich King. and they added a new in-game currency that you can buy to Classic. And so in a way, like, and it helps you like buy stuff and level up. So they have made World of Warcraft Classic essentially, I'm trying to remember. So Asmongold said it best: pay to advance is I think what he said. So it's not pay to win, because you're not winning anything in an MMO, but like you can level up and get better stuff faster if you buy this currency.
I'm a big fan of watching StarCraft 2 tournaments. And there's part of my brain that's like, oh, what if they ever do StarCraft 3? And it's like, it would never be the same, because nobody that made StarCraft 2 is still at Blizzard.
Yeah.
You want you want a new Warcraft or a StarCraft, and then you're like, oh wait, everybody's gone. It's just like wanting new stuff from Rare. It's like, well, yeah, all those creators are gone.
I mean, I've even said this to my friends. So everything that Blizzard is trying to do, Riot is at this point, they're just doing it better. And so the big thing that has been rumored for a long time, and is they've talked about it's currently in development, but it is too early to officially announce it, is a League of Legends MMO. I think as soon as the League of Legends MMO is announced and released, that might be the end of Blizzard.
Yeah, that the company does League of Legends. Is that Riot?
That's Riot, yeah.
Yeah, they seem to always they seem to have it together.
Yes. I mean, even right now, World of Warcraft isn't even technically the biggest MMO right now. That would actually be Final Fantasy 14. The only reason that Final Fantasy 14 never took off like in the public eye as big as World of Warcraft is because it's Final Fantasy.
And what's weird is Microsoft is still trying to buy them. you
Yeah.
know, it's like, are you sure you want those, Microsoft? Yeah.
Oh man, it's there have been like the rumors that like Microsoft, like the Xbox Series X is going to be like their last console, and then they're just going to do strictly PC from here on out.
I could see it, or Xbox becomes more like a PC than Xbox, and it becomes some type of PC that they sell.
Well, I mean, that's already what the Xbox Series X/S is it is very much like a PC. Like that mini fridge looking thing, that is like a computer tower, and like you can easily hook up your mouse and keyboard to it. So if anything, it is just a computer tower with a specific gaming OS.
Yeah.
So,
so we're talking about companies that are a little bit too big to fail. I mean, Disney was the same thing. They are the top dog, and now look at them.
I know.
So
it's insane, and like, I mean, Sony's doing pretty good for themselves, but even then, that PlayStation showcase last week was kind of weak.
It was okay. I mean, I'm not a. Well, it was funny. I was watching live action reactions, and the Snake Eater trailer came on, and they're like, "Is this Tokyo Jungle? What is this? What is this?"
Oh man, no. Here's the thing. So I was watching. So I was technically still at work, but I had my phone going.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know this, we'll have to do a top 10 video games of all time for each of us. Snake Eater is on that list for me. It is top 10 for me. I love Snake Eater, and so they're doing this. They're doing this. This whole thing, and I'm like, is this Snake Eater? Is Solid Snake gonna like? So like from the very beginning, I was joking with myself that it was Snake Eater.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the trailer, it's a frog getting ate by ants, it gets ate by a bird, it gets ate by an alligator, it gets ate by a snake, or there's always animals fighting.
Yeah.
And then Snake pops out of the the camouflage or whatever.
And then Cameron had to explain to me the name. I'm like, Metal Gear, what's the triangle for? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Metal Gear Delta Snake Eater. So yeah, that was fun. The Final Fantasy 16 trailer looked good, but we're getting that next month, so who cares?
Yeah, and then they showed Spider-Man for like an hour.
Oh, but it looks so good.
Yeah, I we'll talk about this another night, but I could not get into the first Spider-Man game. I'm not used to the PlayStation controller enough to be able to be doing all that crazy stuff. So
yeah. You know what though? We're at the point where I bet you could get something that's similar to a GameCube controller, and you can just be like, "I'm playing Ultimate Spider-Man" or Spider-Man 2.
And that game was such a collectathon that I got so distracted early on that it was too much. I needed something a little simpler at that point when I was playing something. So
Cameron. So and then Marathon. I'm excited for that. I love Bungie. I love the original Marathon games, and so that game looks really interesting. But Cameron said what won the show for him was Foam Stars. And I'm like, why? He's like, because of the audacity of it.
Yeah, this really weird Splatoon ripoff with soap or whatever.
I mean, like, they're not even hiding it.
No.
and it's like, okay, so I was kind of excited because I'm like, okay, this looks like because the trailer's going on, oh, Square Enix, cool. And then it's like some sort of weird, cyberpunk world. Okay, we're getting into it. And then soap and then I show the trailer to Cameron because Cameron got home, he hadn't seen it. I'm like, I don't want you to see anything. I want you to watch this.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, that weapon's from Splatoon. Well, that kill streak's from Splatoon. Like, this is. He's like, there's not a single original idea in this trailer. It won the show for me because how dare they?
Well, I think I was watching Roger's Base, and he's like, "Oh, it's kind of like Splatoon." Then he's like, "Oh, I was just joking. It is like Splatoon, So yeah, it was ridiculous.
Oh man, it's anyway. So we've talked about Microsoft. We talked about Sony. Let's talk about some Nintendo.
Let's do it.
So tonight we're going to be talking about not just Tears of the Kingdom, but also just the entire Zelda franchise as a whole. This was inspired, at least on my end, by the top, like IGN doing their redone top 10 Zelda games, and it was just such a weird list.
Oh, I didn't even see their list.
You know what? Hold on, real quick. We'll pull it up on stream here just so that way you can see it.
Yeah.
Just so you know where this conversation comes from.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know who IGN is anymore because I haven't been there forever. I used to be a religious IGN follower back when it was Matt and Fran back in the 64 days. So like I don't even know who's making the list. So
yeah, now for me, I love Easy Allies with like Michael Damiani and Brad Ellis. Easy Ally, and if you don't know, Easy Allies are actually the former Game Trailers guys. So it's really cool. Let me make sure this is the right list. This is the right list, and it's such a weird list. All right, so with their number 10 being Twilight Princess, which is probably not a hot take. However,
yeah, mine's pretty low on my list.
But I love it too much. Then the original, Link Between Worlds.
All right.
Link's Awakening.
Sure.
Wind Waker at number 6.
Yeah.
Majora's Mask 5.
Okay.
Ocarina of Time number 4. This baffles me.
Well, I mean, we'll get to it on my list.
Link to the Past.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is at number 2.
Uh-huh.
And we're already at the point where we're making Tears of the Kingdom #1.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll
I
get
mean,
to it.
I already know. Yeah, I know. But like I said, that this is just where this conversation derives from. Just because I saw this list, and I mean, more often it was just so different from my own. Because I also like some of the deep cuts that nobody talks about. There's one in my top 5 that is like the hottest take ever, and Cameron doesn't like hearing about it, but we'll get there. But
So, how are we doing this? Are we doing top 10, top 5, or what are we going to do?
I thought that maybe we could just kind of go through the series in general, and just glance over the less important ones.
Okay.
But starting with the original, just seeing like uh, what all maybe you'd have to say on that. What is it that where do you put it, and like why do you put it there?
I mean, as soon as that screen popped up, I'm just like, yes. You don't know how much I love this game. You were born in the late '90s. I was born in '79. So I was the right age when the NES came out. You know, um, and we had Super Mario Brothers and whatnot, and we would but we would go to different people's houses at church, and there was a guy there that he was like, "Oh yeah, y'all can play the Nintendo." He goes, "But you're not allowed to play that golden game over there." I was like, "A golden game? What the heck?" And so I was like, my parents were like, I want that golden game, because it was like forbidden fruit. That's the game you can play that you want, but not that one, you know.
It's like he tempted you.
Yeah, and so I just fell in love with this game. Um, and what was cool was, I beat the game, and then I beat the second quest, and then I found like a player's guide or something, and found out, oh, there's like hundreds of secrets I didn't even know about. You burn this bush, you do this, you do that, and it was like there was so much hidden in this game. There's nothing like it on the NES. There's still, it's still a very unique game. Um, so yeah, this is. I mean, I spent hours playing this game,
Oh yeah.
and
Well,
it's still going strong. If you get into the randomizer community, they've breathed new life into this game, and
mhm.
it's just really cool. All the stuff that's still, all the people that are still playing this game, you know.
So do you have like a number for this, or
Um, yeah, let me pull up the list I sent you the other week. One, two, three, four. It's probably like number 6 on my list.
okay?
There's been times I've ranked it higher. Uh, you know, it's just kind of what mood I'm in. But I think if I'm being realistic, I think about number 6. You're gonna see my list and IGN's list are not too different.
Okay. Cameron actually puts this as his number 2.
I could see that. It's
Yeah.
it's so good because all the other games after this point are copying this game. I think Adventure Link is probably like the exception, but every Zelda game is copying this formula.
I'll get into this. I actually kind of disagree with that, because
Let me let
uh,
me let me phrase that. Link to the Past copies this formula and fixes some things and improves it, and then everything's copying Link to the Past after that point.
I can agree with that to a to a point, because what this really has going for it um, is actually, so whenever I think of my favorite Zelda games, I'm thinking about pacing.
Hmm.
This game has no pacing. Um,
Well,
and
this
that's
game is all about exploring.
right. And I say that, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because if any game is copying this, it's Breath of the Wild.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, like, whenever you say that you spend hours and hours, I'm like, I see it. I spent hours and hours on Breath of the Wild. I spent hours and hours on Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely get it. So for me, this is actually my number 10 on the
Mm-hmm.
list.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually it wasn't always this high, but the older I got, the more I could appreciate it. Uh,
Sure.
I definitely think that this is a hard game to get into now.
Yeah, it's very much of its time. It is a difficult game.
Yes.
Uh, so if you're not like, I was watching Maximilian Dude try to play this, and it was hilarious.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen those. I love it whenever he goes back and tries to play the old Nintendo games that I like. Whenever he went back and played through Super Metroid, that was great because Super Metroid was a game that I just grew up with, and
Uh-huh.
watching him like discover it, and apparently it has become one of his favorite games. It's just really interesting to see someone with a modern perspective.
Yeah, like he was trying to find level 1, and he got lost for hours trying to
Jeez.
find level 1, and it was hilarious.
Well,
And
you got to think about like how long does the Great Plateau take someone at first in Breath of the
yeah,
Wild? I mean, like
yeah.
that is hours right there.
Well, I got lost in the Sky Island for hours.
That was, you know what, I actually, and we'll get into this, later on, but I actually like the Sky Island more than the Great Plateau because I actually didn't get lost.
Well, right at the very beginning when he said go to Zelda, I jumped off the wrong side of the island and ended up on like the final island. So I had no powers, and so I'm just wandering around with no powers. I can't do anything, and I
Oh,
had
and so you
to.
had to figure out how to get up there.
Yeah, there's luckily there are caves all throughout the Sky Islands that will eventually get you back to Zelda, but you have to really look for those caves.
Hmm.
Like, I was trying to figure out how to get past the big lake, and I just couldn't do it. And then I found a cave, and yeah. So
So, yeah, I think it's a great game, and as far as like, I think as far as modern sensibilities, this is a style of game that I think this is a style of game that works today, but it is slowly coming back. Um, I don't. I think this game. You know what? I say that it's hard to get into today. I think it's easier to get into this game today than it was 5 years ago.
sure,
Because I think that Breath of the Wild and other games like it have really brought back the drop you in a world go, and like with Dungeons and Dragons becoming more popular, Elder Scrolls and The Witcher, it's not about going from level to level. It's drop you in the world, go figure it out. That is something that is it's something that is coming back, I think. Next up, there are 4 Zelda games that I have never finished. This is one of them.
the,
Uh,
the only way I have finished this game was with a Game Genie. No, I may have gone back and finished this. I'm not sure. I know at one point I have finished it, but I think I was using a Game Genie.
yeah, Adventure of Link is a kind of a rough one. Um,
It's not
it's
a
kind
bad game. It's just odd.
no, yeah, yeah. I enjoy it when I play it. You know what? I've always said that this game would really benefit from like the Samus Returns treatment.
Yeah, I could see that.
Um, because if we're talking about, and honestly, you could probably do just a full on remake of this game, and like you would change the gameplay, but not the idea of it. You could actually make this a 3D Zelda style game if you wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
because there actually is a game that is very much like this game, that is modern. Like, you know how I said that Breath of the Wild takes a lot from the original. I mean, this is like the most primitive version of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And so you could probably pitch like a Zelda 2 remake as a Dark Souls.
Yeah, sometimes Nintendo will farm out their IP, so I could see them approaching the Dark Souls people and saying, "Hey, can you make a Zelda version or something?" I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So out of these, this one is actually let me count them, because this is actually my fourth least favorite of the ones I have never finished. This one is my favorite.
Okay.
So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Number 16.
Okay. Yeah, your list is a lot longer than mine because there's just some Zelda games I've just never played.
Sure.
Uh,
And like I said, we'll gloss over the ones that,
yeah.
because the ones you've never played are, in a sense, not as important.
Yeah. No, it's number 11, which is actually the last on my list. This one, like I said, it's not. There are people who love this game. I just can never really get into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a weird. It's weird because it's almost like a Final Fantasy game in a way, with that top down. This is gameplay right here.
Yeah. You have to. If you kill these, you get like you can farm these and get stuff, but it takes forever.
Oh, he did it. There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, I think this one would really, really benefit from a. Yeah, I don't think we ever said the name of it. This is Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link.
Yeah. The
But,
game that shall not be spoken.
But
Miyamoto
no.
shudders. You hold it up. He's like, no.
I do think it would really benefit from a like a Samus Returns treatment, because I think there's something there. Maybe it just wasn't the right time for that kind of game.
Yeah, and there were some other Nintendo games where the sequel's wildly different, like Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers 2 is wildly different from the first one, and that one
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually like better than Super Mario Brothers. So Nintendo was still young at that point. They were trying different things. And the idea of franchises was probably something pretty new to them. So they were experimenting. So.
And then like their third one ends up becoming like the most legendary one, with like Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Metroid or
Link to the Past.
Link to the Past. This is my number 3. This is
Where's this at on my list? This is my number 3 also. I played this game so much. The Super Nintendo I did not get right away when I was a kid. There was for those who didn't grow up during that period, there was a Sega Genesis Super Nintendo war going on at that point. I think we went Genesis first, and then later we got a Super Nintendo. But when I'd go over to my friend's house, there was like 2 games I would play, either this or SimCity. So and we would try to beat this game as fast as we could, and it was so much fun. This is such a good game. The idea of kind of 3 starter dungeons and then the real game starts, that's kind of started here. You have to go through so many trials to get the Master Sword. That's
it is how I start every single one of my D&D campaigns, is the 3 dungeons, and then the story begins.
Yeah, which I don't know how you do a Zelda movie unless it's like a trilogy. It's so much you have to fit in. unless it's just all montages, which I don't want. Like I think like if you take a movie like Disney's Hercules, I think that could be a great film, but it's all montages, and I'm like, oh, I really wanted to see him, go through those labors,
Yeah.
Um, so that's one of my fears about the Zelda movie, um, that it won't feel like this epic quest, unless it's like a 3 hour movie. I think it could work as a 3 hour movie. But that would be wild. I don't know. Have we ever had like a 3 hour kids CGI movie?
You know what? You got me curious as to
What's the
like
longest?
yeah, longest animated movie.
It's gonna be some Japanese movie.
I'm sure it's gonna be uh Akira. I bet 2 hours and 14, 2 hours and 4 minutes, 2 hours and Evangelion. That makes sense.
Yeah.
There's no way anything gets longer than 2:45. Evangelion wins that.
Animation is expensive and time consuming, and the idea of doing a 3 hour epic is insane.
Yeah. But yeah, I you know what's funny? I've actually never played this on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I played this on the Game Boy Advance. And I don't remember the controls, so I don't remember how that game works with 4 buttons, but that's how I played it.
I think 4 buttons you could definitely play this game with. Yeah.
But yeah, I love this game. This is this one was actually hard for at least for me whenever I first played this, because I got through the first 3 dungeons pretty well. I got the Master Sword, and then for some reason that first dungeon, after getting the Master Sword, I just had troubles with it.
Yeah, but I think this is kind of like a perfect game. There's nothing I'm like, oh, they really should have fixed this or fixed that. No, this is just kind of gaming perfection.
Like 2D sprites, come on, how lazy can you get? And there's no trophy support.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this game's perfect, no glitches. And I start watching speedrunners, like, oh yeah, there's glitches everywhere.
Yeah. But like it, I mean, there are so many cool there's so many cool items that they have never brought back, and I always thought it'd be so cool if they did.
The other thing about this when it came out was they were doing a Nintendo Power Zelda comic at the same time about the story. So that is all forever etched in my mind, that Zelda manga that came out in Nintendo Power.
That's different from the manga that they would do later, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay, because that's the one that I know.
And I own both the Nintendo Power comic volumes on my shelf. I got that one and the Mario one. The Mario one's hilarious. Just very funny. About the wedding between Bowser and Peach and all that. And it's like people are like, Bowser never tries to marry Peach. I'm like, are you serious? Did you not play Mario Odyssey?
Yeah, I mean, like, or I mean, like, that's not even a recent thing, because even in Sunshine,
yeah,
he thought Bowser Jr. thought that Peach was his mom.
Yeah, and we all know it's Miyamoto. So
yeah, you know, that is why you can't give me the Mario movie, because my sequel to the Mario movie, now that I've seen it, would like involve Bowser Jr. and like him having to come to terms with the fact that he was created in a lab and he really doesn't have a mom. Like it would just be like the darkest thing ever.
Oh, that would be fun. And then the Koopa kids are the early rejected models
right,
or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of like that.
But yeah, perfect game. Have you played Link's Awakening?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I played it on the original Game Boy when it came out. Like,
okay.
I've played through this game several times.
Okay, gotcha. So I've heard a lot of people say that this game is better than Link to the Past. I don't necessarily agree with it, but
There's probably was a time I would have ranked it higher. I this game is it has a sadness to it. Like there's a little bit more mature at points than Link to the Past. Like I find like the Windfish melody is one of my favorite Zelda songs.
mhm.
And there's just a sadness to it. All this is going to fade away. Spoilers. And and if you come to my house, I have on my wall. There's a little painting of what's the girl's name, Marin.
Marin, yeah.
Yeah, him and Marin sitting on the beach, and just the knowledge that all this is going to fade away one day. And then it's just sitting on my shelf. It's a special game to me. I played this a lot.
I think this is kind of the start of the Zelda sequel, where it's less about the adventure and more about the tone, which we get into a lot later on.
Yes.
But this one is definitely there. Are you familiar with Liam Triforce?
No.
Okay, so Liam Triforce is a guy who just does a bunch of like analysis videos on different games. Like he's done Valve and Mario Sunshine, but obviously his name's Liam Triforce. He's done every single Zelda game, and so for Link to the Past, I mean, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like he used the word melancholy.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Which,
I
mean,
this game's it's interesting because the other thing that I like on this that's better than Link to the Past is Rock's Feather. Just getting to jump everywhere is just a lot of fun. And it's an item that we don't get enough of. I mean, I think Tears of the Kingdom has kind of brought back jumping to a point to Zelda.
Well, Breath of the Wild had jumping, but it was less so than Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. The other thing that's weird about this game, and I've been wanting to write to MatPat and say, hey, you really need to do a game theory on this, on Link's Awakening and Super Mario Brothers 2, because the games are obviously connected, and it seems like Mario streams are bleeding over into Link streams. That's why there's so many Mario elements. Like they're both in the same world, Subcon and this game. And there's a whole thing about how you can escape from Subcon, like the Windfish and Marin both escape. And spoilers for my game theory that I may get MatPat to write one day is that Birdo has escaped from Subcon. It's the only boss that escaped from Super Mario Brothers 2. All the other ones are still trapped in Subcon.
Okay.
I don't know. And then you get into, well, how did Birdo escape? Is it because Mario is so powerful that he did it? Or, then you get to the weird MatPat game theory land. Did Mario want a companion for Yoshi, so he dragged Birdo out of there? So that's another cool thing. The secret seashells, collecting those to get the powerful sword in the game. That was a whole thing. And there's always weird gaming cameos in this, like Dr. Wright's in this game and stuff.
Yes.
And there's just a weirdness to this, and I just love it. And this started the whole trade quests. I think this is the first game that really had it. I'm trying to remember if Link to the Past had one. I don't think it had one like this. This one has a really long one where you're just trading stuff forever. And I think that's a lot of fun. I like talking to the NPCs, and we'll get into that here a little bit later when we talk about Tears of the Kingdom. I like to get to know the characters when they have more of a personality. I find the games much more interesting.
Oh yeah. For me, this game, I didn't play this until more recently.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a game growing up for me that it was very similar to this, except it was a comedy version. Back in the day, there was this website called Newgrounds, and they had this program called Flash.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was
tell
a
us
game.
tell us more, Grandpa.
there was a Flash game on there called The Legend of Zelda and the Lampshade of No Real Significance.
Uh-huh.
And there was like, it was just like you found this lampshade, and then you walk around and like you walk into a McDonald's, and Samus is there eating chicken McNuggets, and
Right. Yeah,
and
she would
so
be eating some type of bird. Yeah, that makes sense.
but no, and like Mario and Kid Icarus, like Pit was there. It was so weird, and I'm like, that's such a weird concept. That's such a weird concept for a crossover. And imagine if this was a mainline Zelda game, and then years later, I'd play Link's Awakening, and like you'd have like Yoshi and Mario, and I mean, like, to me, this is the Legend of Zelda crossover game. This is almost like Kingdom Hearts, but for Zelda.
Yeah, I think the closest game that gets like this is Mario RPG.
Yes.
Has a lot of weird Nintendo crossovers. And like most of the Zelda games have some type of Mario Easter egg in there somewhere, but this one's just blatant. It's just everywhere.
Yes. Chain chomps in the first screen.
Yeah, there's Wart is in the game, Goombas, bloopers, all kinds of stuff are in this game. So, yeah, this I don't know if I said where I ranked this. This is number. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have it number 8 on my list, but that's not a bad thing. There's just a lot of great Zelda games.
I also have it number 8, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, this is also cool. Like where it goes back to Zelda, the first one, where you go into like this 2D thing.
Yeah, and here's the thing that people don't realize: they did this game on the Game Boy.
Yes.
This should not exist on the Game Boy. If you compare this to other games that were on the Game Boy, you're like, wait, this is on the Game Boy? It's like this and Metroid 2 Return of Samus have no business being on the Game Boy.
Right. This is I think this might be top 3 Game Boy games just in general. Like, I love Super Mario Land 2, and Tetris is probably number 1.
And Donkey Kong 94, whatever it's called, that's a great game.
Just the Game & Watch gallery games.
Yeah. But yeah, can you pull up like TMNT for Game Boy real quick and just show like the difference? Like, so we see this, this is epic. I mean, it's basically the same structure almost as Link to the Past. You got dungeons, you've got NPCs, and
all the Foot Clan.
Yeah, just pick any of them. So you have this out, and then you had games like this. It's like this is like a Tiger LED game almost.
This looks like the Adventure of Link.
Yeah, and you gotta understand this. You don't have the sound on, but the sound I'm sure is terrible. I mean, so this was like your other Game Boy games, and then you put in Zelda Link's Awakening,
I had that. I was like, turn the sound off. No. But yeah, no. Link's Awakening is. It is a great game that somehow they that they fit on that cartridge.
And we're seeing the same thing now with Tears of the Kingdom. People are like, how is this working on the Switch?
Right. It's so. I play the Switch, in the dock with controller. Sometimes I forget. Oh yeah, this is a portable game.
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna definitely talk about Tears of the Kingdom here in a minute.
Yes.
All right. So let's.
I think this next one will actually end up being a little bit shorter, just because this is my favorite game of all time, and Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I've talked about this one in depth on a previous episode, so I don't want to go into too much because I did a whole hour on this one. But
So
this is my favorite game.
let me ask you this: what was the first Zelda game you ever played?
First Zelda game I ever played.
Was it Ocarina of Time, or was it?
I'm trying to think. It might have. You know what? I think it was actually. I think it was actually Wind Waker, like like the demo.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But this one was definitely one of the first, at least.
Yeah, I think the first Zelda game you play is always very special.
Yes.
So I could see this being your favorite. I think this is like the blueprint for how you do Zelda games. Like it's kind of perfect in that way. But I don't think it's my favorite Zelda on the N64. You know, so I think for my list, I have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have it as number 7 under the original Legend of Zelda. Again, that's not to say this is a bad Zelda game. It is not. It is a very good Zelda game. But I feel like how to explain this is like the blueprint.
Yes.
And everything else improves on that blueprint or does, maybe not better. Well, we'll get to it, but yeah, this is kind of like it's hard to explain. It's like this
There's.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say there's one thing that is never improved on in this game, and I can't figure out why. But I was talking about pacing. I think this has the best pacing of any Zelda game.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that. And I don't have a problem with the water temple. I don't know why people have a problem with the water temple.
Oh, no. The Shadow Temple's worse. Okay, I will fight people on that. The Shadow Temple is worse.
Yeah, always people complain about water temple. I'm just kind of looking at them like, what? Yeah, especially if you see the early prototypes for this game. We would get pictures of here's what the Zelda game coming out, and it would look like him fighting this weird 3D skeleton. You're like, this looks terrible. So I never had high hopes for this game, and then it kind of came out and blew everybody away. But for whatever reason, it's not a game I have a strong desire to go back and play. I don't know. But I mean, this game introduced so many concepts like the Gerudo and the Gorons and so many things that have been so important moving on in the franchise.
Yeah. Zora's Domain. Oh, Zora's Domain is such a cool place to go for the first time.
Yeah. Again, so do you think number 7 or whatever I ranked it is low?
I do.
But they're Zelda games. They're all kind of great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so there are only. I think there is only one game, and I don't think you've even played it, but there is only one Nintendo endorsed Zelda game that I think I would consider as a net negative. And I don't think you've ever played it. So we'll get there.
Yeah. So again, I think for a lot of people, they're like, this is the best Zelda game. But I also think it has to do with how old you were when you played it.
Sure.
I think if this was like your first Zelda game, you're like, yes, this is one of the greatest games I've ever played. And I think it's great, but I just don't think I just don't have the nostalgia for it that other people have.
Sure.
I guess.
I real quick, I wanted to mention that I picked the Forest Temple. This is actually my favorite Zelda dungeon of all time.
Okay. Just because we have a lot of Zelda games, let's move on to the next one.
Yes, we spent longer on that than I intended anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, Majora's Mask. So you like Majora's Mask better?
I adore this game. Like I said earlier, I can really get into the NPC stories. And out of all the Zelda games, this one has the best NPC stories. And this is another technological marvel for me. of how did they get this. I mean, it did have to use the expansion pack, but how did they get this game working on the N64? You can follow any character. I don't care who you pick, and follow them on this 72-hour cycle, and they do different things depending on what time it is, and just you get to know their lives, their schedules, their fears, their everything, and it's incredible. And the fact that the whole game is just Link and the 5 stages of death is just it's just an incredible game.
Oh yeah.
I don't
I
know if I'm crazy about the gameplay all the time. I mean, it's very different. Like this here, Link flying around as a Deku or whatever.
What's funny? This is actually him flying around. This is like a precursor to the Leaf from Wind Waker.
Yeah.
Which itself is a precursor to the glider in Breath of the Wild. So
just this feeling of dread. This whole game just feels like it's the goth game of Zelda. It is.
This is the Zelda game that's like, at the party, but they're like leaned up against the wall in the corner.
Yeah, so this is number 4 on my list.
This one, I believe, is number. This is actually. Oh, I messed something up. So this is actually my number 10, with Legend of Zelda being number 11. Excuse me.
Okay.
I messed that up. But yeah, so the reason is just because, like, I guess, like, it really comes down to two things. One, I'd rather play Ocarina than this game. But two, I just, it's a great game. I just have like a single bad memory with this game.
Okay. I mean, that happens. We'll get to one
Yeah.
here in a minute where I have a really bad memory with it. It's real low on my list.
With this one, I was trying to get I think it was the Gilded Sword. And so I had to do like the whole thing. And so, like, as I'm running, trying to get everything done, and I'm running out of time, and eventually I run out of time, and I'm like, screw. And I was like 9 at this point. I was like, screw this, and I just put it away and I never touch it until like much like 10 years later.
That was like Ocarina of Time. I was like, maybe I'm being too hard this game, so I was replaying it, and I was playing it on the. I don't know what I was playing on. It was something that was not the N64 though.
GameCube.
And when I got to the fight with the 2 witches, and you had to use the mirror shield to charge up and fire or something, I could not figure out what the controls were to do that. I got so frustrated I quit playing it. Just because, for what reason, on the GameCube or whatever, it was different. Something was different. I just could not figure out how to do it. I was just like, forget this.
I played this on the 3DS recently. I'm not this, but Ocarina on the 3DS recently. It is so weird. The touchscreen makes it easier, but I could not play either of these games on the GameCube. Like the buttons are literally colored to be the N64 buttons.
Right. So yeah, but there's the masks. I love the masks in this game. The way they, I used to go on my lunch break. Like, I had an hour lunch break, and I would just go to Toys R Us, and I'd either play this or later with Smash Bros. Melee. I played constantly, but and I would just see how many masks I could get within 30 minutes. And I just love the dancing mask. I would sit there and make Link dance all the time. And, I think just the sadness of the game is just, and I think some of the puzzles are more clever than Ocarina of Time. And I feel like Ocarina of Time was always holding your hand too much, like the Navi constantly screaming, "Hey!"
Sure.
I think
Tattle can kind of be like that though.
It's not as bad. But yeah, I just think this is a great game. I think he's a sword salesman, and he's all tough. He's like, yeah, and then if you're there when the world's ending, he's like crying under a desk and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can just pick any character and they all do stuff like this. It's really cool.
I think my favorite's probably Malin and her sister on the farm.
Yeah.
Where I mean, it's heavily implied that her sister decides to get her drunk because she knows that the world is going to end, and she doesn't want her to feel it. Like that is just that's freaky.
So recently, someone pointed out the Majora's Mask commercials, and I had never seen these. Have you seen them?
No.
Where it's like news footage of all these people like freaking out because the world's ending, like real people, and they all keep saying we're depending on you and all this, and everybody's just like, just accepting that the world is ending and that Link is their only hope and stuff, and it's creepy. It is a really creepy. It is very much the end of the world trailer. Yeah, you have to look those up. Yeah, they're depressing.
Also, I think that this is a great metaphor, but in a literal sense, Link is not dead. This is, I mean, I'm not that is not my theory. I don't believe that.
You don't think he fell down inside the tree and died?
No.
Well,
no.
I'm not one to talk about Link theories because we'll get to it. We get to Twilight Princess. How all of my theories ruined my enjoyment of the game. So
no. Here's the theory. The theory is that this is a metaphor. This is something that did actually happen. That he went into an alternate universe, but he eventually escaped. He got married to Malin. They had a kid, and that kid eventually became the hero of Twilight. They had a kid, and then several ages later, their descendant would eventually be the hero of Twilight. That's.
Well, I mean, don't they basically say that the skeleton that trained you in Twilight is the hero of time?
Yes.
Okay. The end credits to this game where everybody's dancing and celebrating, you see the butler and he's so sad with his dead son. Oh, this game is so good.
Yeah, the butler and the dead son, that one, like, and like.
So I'll go ahead and say this now. This is one of the problems I'm having right now with Tears of the Kingdom is some of the side quests are so dumb with the villagers. Have you dealt with the mushroom town or whatever the heck it is where everybody has the mushroom decorations?
So I started the one where like you're trying to get like the fashionista to be mayor of
Yes.
Hytania Village, and I'm like, I'll come back to this one.
It is. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it. It is so dumb. She has like a secret that no one's supposed to know. You have to follow her around. You have to do one of those stealth missions. And her secret is she eats carrots at night.
That's amazing.
I was like, what the heck? Like, if you look at this game where it's like, tragedy after tragedy of these characters, and then you go to Tears of the Kingdom, and it's like, they really phoned this one in.
Well, and there's even the Breath of the Wild one where like, and then they bring him back in Tears of the Kingdom, where everyone thought that it was a mistranslation, but it turns out, oh no, they're doubling down on it. Is the grown man and the child Zora love story?
Yeah,
that one's weird. But yeah, so I enjoy Majora's Mask. It's my number 10. These next couple we can just kind of run through because I don't know if you've played them. I know one of them that you definitely haven't played. I won't even pull up gameplay for them, but did you play the Oracle games?
I did very recently, like the last 5 years. They're okay. I didn't hate them, but they're like, where are they? They're like number 10 on my list. They're down there.
Mine is. They're 15 and 16. Which one do you like more?
I don't even remember. I think I beat one of them, and one of them I could not figure out it wasn't that I couldn't figure out the final boss. It was just like you had to jump around, stab it a bunch, and I was just like,
I don't remember which one that is. So I like Seasons more than Ages. Seasons is more action based, while Ages is more puzzle based. And usually I like puzzles more, but I don't think the puzzles in Ages were that good anyway. So
yeah, I don't remember this game that well. I just played through them, and I mean, it's the fact that it's Capcom and not Nintendo making it. It's a really well done effort by an outside company to make a Zelda game. They're not terrible. It's just it just didn't click with me. Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. This next one, this one actually goes up on ones that I have never beaten, which is Four Swords, and I don't think you've ever played this one.
Very briefly. I have the game. I have all the things to play it. I just never found people to play it.
So, uh, whenever the WiiWare shop was not the WiiWare, whenever the DS and the 3DS Nintendo shop was still, going, they actually had a DSi/3DS version where you could play Four Swords, like as a single player game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just not fun.
Okay.
It. I mean, maybe it's. I'm sure it's better. Playing it with people.
Oh, sure.
I'm sure it's got like a Diablo thing going for it. But I mean, just that solo version was not fun at all. It is actually below. It is actually below Zelda 2 for me, which I don't remember what number I had that at. It's number 18 for me.
Yeah, for those who don't know, you had to have, because I think it was a GameCube game, but you were supposed to play it on the Game Boy. You had to have the NES or the Game Boy connectors, and everybody had to have 4 Game Boys. It was a ordeal to play. It was a very expensive game to play.
So that's actually different. So the Four Swords GameCube game, that's actually different. So you could actually play Four Swords. You had to have the Link to the Past game. So I actually had the Link to the Past Game Boy Advance cartridge, but you had to have 4 of those. 4 Game Boys, and you connect them together.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
Oh, here we go. Wind Waker. Yay.
I love this game, and I don't care what you say.
This one used to be higher up on my list.
I mean, I'll be honest. For this game, could use a couple more dungeons, but I think it's just the charm and the animation that wins me over every time.
Oh yeah.
It's just a beautiful, beautiful game, and I think the HD version looks worse than the GameCube version for me. I don't know.
So I've actually only played the other than the demo on the GameCube. I've only ever played the HD version.
Okay. It just looks more
didn't...
shiny or something. It just loses some of the charm. I don't know.
Yeah. But I never had to deal with like the horrors of the Triforce shards or whatever. Because
people complain about that, and it's like, for me, I was playing the old Zelda games where you explore, and so I'm constantly exploring. So by the time I got to the part where it's like, oh, let's go find the Triforce shards, I already found most of them,
Yeah.
So it was like I didn't have that issue. So, and I know people was like, oh, the sailing was boring. I thought it was relaxing. And it was a little bit too long to sail. The distance was a little bit ridiculous at points, but I think this game's great.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's number 5 on my list. 2, 3.
Yeah, I mean it's number 6 on my list. So
yeah.
I also love the combat in this game, where like you can do like rolls and uppercuts and stuff.
Yeah, and then some of the cutscenes are just so cool. And then when you get to the spoilers, the Hyrule underwater and stuff, oh, it's so cool. The castle being frozen in place and all that. And then as you're finding out how it's connected to the other Zelda games, this game's great. And people freaked the heck out when this came out. I remember when that E3 or whatever preview reel played, and it did look a little different. People just freaked out and lost their minds. This is not my Zelda. Just went crazy. Which is why the next game swung so hard in the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get to that. But I
Well, not the
love
next game, but like the next major game.
I love the wand system, the playing the songs. This game's
Oh yeah.
great.
I think the thing that's really cool about um, this specific hero is it. All he's trying to do is save his sister.
Yeah, he has great motivation. Oh, see, I'm the one to play this now that I'm watching this.
I mean, he's so like you. We can talk about like the Zelda lore and like the curse that Demise put on Hyrule, and but I mean, this Link specifically, this Link could be anybody.
And Ganon's almost like he's just in his way. He's like, I gotta get my sister back. You're just a side thing, you know.
Right? Yeah.
This
Like
game.
like the true villain of this is the Helmarock King.
Yeah, I can hear the music right now in my head. This is so good. Maybe I should rank this higher than Majora's Mask now that I'm watching this.
Yeah, I mean, it's still my number 6. But
Yeah, this is great.
yes. um,
I love the GameCube. I think the GameCube is one of Nintendo's best systems. So
what I've loved about the Switch is I almost feel like the Switch could be called the GameCube too, because every game I've played, like I'm playing Super Mario Odyssey, I'm playing like Metroid Dread, I'm playing Mario Kart 8 and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate or Splatoon, and I'm like, these are games that would have been on the GameCube.
absolutely, yeah. This is I kind of hate the Wii era, and we'll get to that. Um, so yeah, the Switch is an amazing little system.
Yeah. So this next one, if you thought that we were going to if you thought we were just going to glance over it, you were wrong. This is Four Swords Adventures, and I love this game.
And again, this is one I barely played.
So this is where my hot takes come in. This is the one that Cameron hates it when I say it. This is my number 5 Zelda game.
Really? Okay.
Yes, I love this game. Um, there's something about, I don't know. I don't. This is one of those things where I don't want this to be the norm, but it's cool that we have a Zelda game like it. Because with this one, this game is not about adventuring whatsoever. This game is strictly a level by level structure.
Yeah.
And just for once, I'm down with that. You know, I don't want Zelda to be level by level structure all the time. But, you know, if this is the one time, I love it, and this is my number this is my number 5. For a while, I almost put this above Link to the Past because I'm like, is this my favorite 2D Zelda game? But no, Link to the Past, I like it better. But yeah, here we go. If you didn't think that I was going to have hot takes that everyone would disagree with this show, here you go.
Not Caleb, no.
But yeah, I do love this game. So
if we had more viewers, I'm sure our review of Picard season 3 would be getting hate mail. Anyhow,
but
yeah. All right. So what's next on our list? Because I didn't play that one.
I don't know if we have Minish Cap next. Did you play Minish Cap?
I played it a little bit recently, just helping my son get through some of the levels. Seems like a fun game. I just haven't. It's not one I've put a lot of time into.
So this one is actually number 14 on my list. Okay. It is this. I mean, it's another Capcom made game, and so it's right beside. It's the best of the Capcom games, but even then, not my style. And so it's like 14, 15, 16, those are the Capcom games for me, and so this is the best of the Capcom games. But it's just one of those things where like I'd rather play Link to the Past. There's a lot going on in Minish Cap, and
There was a lot of points in Minish Cap where I was like, okay, where am I supposed to go?
Yeah.
You know, you're just kind of, I don't know.
It's a cool game, and it's a cool idea being able to shrink down and whatnot. But it's not like revolutionary. It's not anything to write home about.
Sure.
We have. Ooh, here we go. Why don't you complain about this game a little bit for us?
Twilight Princess, the game where you get changed into a wolf and change back and forth. It's very drab and dreary, and unlike Majora's Mask, where I think it has like this gothic tone, this one's just like trying to be cool. They heard the complaints about Wind Waker, like, okay, we gotta bring back mature adult Link, and it's just so gray and bleh. And one of my issues was I totally misread what was going on in the game. And really quick, the game has a villain named Zant, and they make a big deal. And see, okay, right there, you had Skull Kid hopping around.
Yeah.
The game makes a big deal about Zant and who is he? And there's this weird vision that Link has in a cave about the people who dabbled in the dark magic or something. And it shows like an evil Link, and he stabs his friend, and it's just like Link has been corrupted, and you're like, what is going on? And you're meeting this skeleton that's like, it seemed like it very much had connections to Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. And it does, but not the way I was thinking. So I thought that this was going to be like a direct sequel to Majora's Mask almost, and that the villain Zant was actually Link, the hero of time, that he had been corrupted by the fierce deity mask. And because in this game you're assembling a mask slowly for, or is a helmet? It's something
It's a mirror.
It's something, yeah. And
you thought it was a mask, but it's actually a mirror. So
yeah. See, I still don't even know what it is. I thought we were building Majora's Mask. You had Skull Kid running around this game, and I thought it was going to be cool that this time Majora's Mask was going to be the mask to destroy the fierce deity mask. It was going to be like the opposite. So then was revealed that Zant, spoilers, is in this butler. I was like, what? And like I said, this game, it just never grabbed me. The little bird people are weird. I can't even think of their names. It starts with an O. They're like little golden bird with a little bald head.
Right,
They
I can't
appear in
think
the
of it.
dungeons. You know what I'm talking about. They're creepy little creatures, and I don't know. I mean, it was fun to play, but it just, bleh. It's not one I ever want to go back and play ever. Like, okay, we saw Wind Waker right now. Back then, I was just like, oh my gosh, I kind of want to go play this right now. This, I could go the rest of my life without ever playing it again. So this is number like 9 on my list, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, this one's like number 9. Oh, I left one off my list. I just realized. Oh no, it's there. I see it. Anyhow, what are your thoughts on Twilight Princess?
This is my number 2. I love this game.
See, we're so different, and that's fine. You're higher on this in Ocarina of Time than I am. I guess I like more of the emotional stuff, the Majora's Mask and Wind Waker. I don't know.
Well, that's the weird thing, because I think this game, I think if you hadn't gone into like theory crafting territory, I think you may have like really liked this game, because this game really has like all those characters, like Midna is Midna is just such a complex character. Um, and then Link's friends, like back in his village, Colin, who is the little kid character,
Mm-hmm.
uh, brilliant character. I mean, like he's the classic, kid who he's kind of like for Harry Potter people, he's kind of like your Neville Longbottom, where like he's kind of like this scared kid, but then when the chips are down, like he steps up and um, I mean it's great. And his friend, I don't remember her name, but she's a great, like,
Don't you get amnesia or something?
yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, I think the tutorial area is not great in this. Like there's a part you had to catch a fish, and it was just like a pain in the butt, and you
so
know,
I will agree with that. I know what to do, and it still takes me about an hour or two. So I will agree with that.
yeah,
Um, I think that's the problem, is this game takes a long time to get going.
yeah, and just looking at this game is just ugly to me. It's just not a pretty game to look at. I mean, it looks like more like a Dark Souls game than a Zelda game.
Yeah, I can see that. Oh man, I love this thing.
Yeah, this thing is fun to ride around on.
I
Yeah,
love
but that might be the most innovative thing in the game. But
the double hook shots were cool too, where like you could like swing like Spider-Man.
yeah,
There's a lot in this game. Did you ever finish this game?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I thought the ending final battles were cool. Like, wasn't there like you had to fight like a Zelda flying around, and then
Yeah.
you had to fight Ganon on horseback and all that. I thought that
Yep.
stuff was cool.
So it started off with Puppet Zelda, and
Yeah,
then you had to fight the Dark Beast Ganon, and you had to, what it was you turned into Wolf Link, and he was Dark Beast Ganon, so it was like an animalistic fight.
yeah, I remember that. He had the scar on his
Yeah.
stomach or something. Yeah.
Then you had your horseback, and then the final boss, which I think is one of the coolest final bosses, is like you just have a one-on-one sword fight with Ganondorf.
Yeah,
Which is
like I said, the final boss stuff is cool. I don't know. I just don't have fond memories of this game like I do the other ones.
Sure. I mean, this is your Majora's Mask in terms of my own experience.
I feel like this one's trying too hard to be moody, whereas Majora's Mask actually had a reason to be. Does that make sense? This one,
I could see that. I think another one of the issues. So I love Mr. Miyamoto, but I think when he gets too involved, a Zelda game can suffer. And
sure.
if I recall, I don't think that Miyamoto had anything to do with Majora's Mask, but he had a lot to do with this game, and so that's probably the things that you're talking about. They may have been hinting at, and then Miyamoto's like, "Oh no, don't do that. We don't want this game to be connected to the other games." Then.
Yeah. We could talk about Miyamoto some other night. Like, he always has ideas for gimmicks, and it's like, I just want to play a Star Fox game. What are you doing? you know?
Yeah.
And that's one thing about the Zelda games. They always have to have like a weird gimmick. And sometimes I'm just like, I just want to play Zelda. you don't have to do a new gimmick. Just give me a new Zelda game.
Now, let me ask you this: did you play Twilight Princess Wii or GameCube?
I would assume it was the Wii version. Yeah, it was the Wii version.
Okay, gotcha. I also think this game's better on controller than with the motion controls, because like
That's probably another reason why I like this game.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's you don't have to. I mean, if we're playing Zelda games on the Wii, I'd rather play Link's Crossbow Training.
Yeah. I did like this bug girl. She was kind of fun.
Oh, have you seen the speed run where Link stares at a rupee for 19 hours?
No.
So I'll have to send that to you. So there, you know how like there are any percent speed runs or 100% speed runs.
Yeah.
So there are actually low percent speed runs where you try to complete the game with collecting as little as possible.
Uh-huh.
And so what happens is whenever Link is in that stance where he's looking at a rupee,
Uh-huh.
apparently the way the game is coded, he is actually slightly moving backwards during that animation. And so what you have to do is you actually have to look at a rupee for 19 hours and he will eventually clip through a wall while he's looking at a rupee.
Oh, so he's constantly walking backwards slowly, and so
Right.
he'll go. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I'll have to send it to you. It's really funny. Like the low and it's not about and it's a low percent speed run, but it's not about the speed. It's about how little amount can you collect in this run.
Gotcha. That's fun.
Yeah. So next up, I don't think you've played this one either. Is a Phantom Hourglass.
Nope.
So I like this one.
Is this the train one?
No, this is the second boat one.
Okay.
So I like this one. It's actually let me see if I can get this pulled up. It is my number. It's my number 13. I just have a lot of fond memories. It's a lot of fun. It actually has my favorite Zelda puzzle of all time in this game. And it's one of those that like I want to know how long it took people to figure it out. So I want to wager that you have no intentions of ever playing this one.
Nope.
Okay, so let me explain to you this puzzle. So what it is you have to stamp something on a letter.
Mm-hmm.
And so the stamp is on the top screen, and what you got to stamp is on the bottom screen.
Oh, do you have to close the DS?
You have to close the DS. But here's the thing. I explained it in a way that that's the first thing that comes to your mind. It's not entirely obvious
The only reason I know to do that is my son had a game, Daffy Duck Amuck, where everything in the game was stuff like that. Like if you close the DS, he'd be screaming, "Get me out!" And it would unlock a secret game and all this stuff. So yeah. And that sounds like a very Nintendo thing to do.
Yes. It's one of my favorite Zelda puzzles. Might be my favorite Zelda puzzle. And I'm always hesitant to tell people about it because it's one of those things where it's like, if in the next 50 years you ever play this game, I want you to experience what I experienced as an 11-year-old boy.
It sounds like X-Men for Sega Genesis, where you get to a level and like, you gotta reset the computer, and you're like, what? And then the timer goes off and you die, and you actually have to hit reset on the Sega Genesis to solve the puzzle.
That is insane.
Which for me, I was never able to beat the game because I was always using a Game Genie. If you hit reset, it would go back to the Game Genie screen.
I mean, that's straight up like Metal Gear Solid. Like it's like whenever Psycho Mantis starts looking through your through your memory card,
right? Or like Eternal Darkness or whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, I like this game a lot. The adventuring. I think the adventuring on the boat actually works better in Phantom Hourglass because it's a top-down screen than it does in Wind Waker. But Wind Waker has the immersion, so it's got that going for it. What really brings this game down, and I like the touch controls. The touch controls are actually better than I originally, because whenever I was a kid and they announced Phantom Hourglass and like you go around with like the touch screen, I was so upset because I just wanted it to be like a regular Zelda game. But having played it, I was like, oh, okay, I actually like the way this controls. But going back to the temple of the temple of the ocean, whatever Um, yeah, that's rough. In a Zelda game, don't make me replay things.
Sure.
But yeah, this is my number. I think I said this was 13. And then, closely followed is Spirit Tracks. This is the train one. This one is actually number. What is this? This one's number 19 for me. Is my second least favorite. Just because, I mean, I'd rather play Phantom Hourglass, and the train aesthetic does not do anything for me. Yeah, it's strictly because I like Phantom Hourglass better, and because Phantom Hourglass exists, makes this game go down
Sure.
more. I've also never finished this game. This is in the 4 that I've never finished. So now we have Skyward Sword. Did you play Skyward Sword?
Yes, and speaking of Zelda games I never finished, Skyward Sword. This is like number 10 on my list of 11 games.
Okay.
So it's just above Adventure of Link. What was this on? Was this on the Wii U?
This was on the Wii.
On the Wii. That's
Yep.
right. Halfway through playing this game, my Wii broke. And so by the time I got it fixed, like months later, I totally lost interest in the game. So I just never went back and finished it. I got to a point where, what is that? What's it called? The Imprisoned?
The Imprisoned, yes.
I think when you fight that, that's where I got to. And there was a point where you had to dive back into the level, and my game would crash every time. So I just never went back and finished it. I have seen people play it, and it may get better past that point. But I don't know. I did not like the map. I didn't like how I couldn't go from one area to the other without going back to the sky first. I I think it's prettier than Twilight Princess, but it just I don't know. I think what's his name, Groose or whatever. I think he's
Oh
fun.
yeah, I love Groose.
He's fun, but I didn't like the controls. This is a game I probably would be interested because didn't they release on the Switch?
That is the only version that I've played.
Okay, yeah. So like this nonsense here, where you're trying to do this with the Wii controller and stuff, it's not good.
So this is my number 12. Like I said, don't make me replay things. So this is a game where you got to fight the Imprisoned 3 times. You have to go back to each temple at least one other time. So you go to each temple at least twice. And I want to be done with the dungeon whenever I'm done with it. So
Yeah.
I thought the bosses were cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually didn't like the one-on-one sword fights as much as I liked the gargantuan bosses.
Yeah, I did not like what was her name? What was the sword's name?
Fee.
I did not like Fee. I mean, it was kind of cool. She would be skating up the walls and stuff, but it just it didn't grab me. I did like. Well, it's gonna sound weird. At the time, I didn't like them, but now looking back, I like them. The tears sections.
Oh,
Where
I love those. Yeah.
those were definitely the most fun parts, just because I would have those guardian things chasing me, and
Mhm.
just the adrenaline rush of trying to get to a safe spot and sliding down the hill and trying to get away, and it was like right behind me. That part was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
Um,
those.
yeah, this game's kind of a mess. But
I.
I think it was a necessary step they had to take to get to Breath of the Wild. You can see like the stamina wheel and stuff they're messing with.
Mhm.
They're messing around to get to that point. So
And ironically, this is probably the most linear that
Oh
3D
yeah,
Zelda you got before Breath of the
definitely.
Wild was like the opposite.
Yeah, and this made me nervous about Tears of the Kingdom going back to the sky. I was like, oh, we did that and it wasn't fun last time, you know. So yeah, this one's it's not great.
So I think you will actually really like it if you go back to it on the Switch. One thing that I even noticed just then that I was like, oh yeah, that would have been rough with motion controls was like the downward stab finishers. Um, that is an intrinsic part of the combat, and I could guarantee that those are impossible to do.
It just wasn't fun. And then when you had to confront the I don't remember the bad guy's name. You would
Girahim.
Yeah, and you'd have to like do certain slashes to block his attacks.
Mhm.
It was not fun.
No, honestly, it is a lot better on controller with like the C stick. So I think you actually, if you wanted to go back to it, you could.
Maybe one day. Um, but it's not, I'm not in a rush.
Yeah. um, did I say what was it? This is my number 12. You said this was like your number 10, I think.
Yeah,
Cool. Did you play Link Between Worlds?
I did not. I really want to. I just did not.
I have the limited edition Triforce 3DS that comes with Link Between Worlds preloaded. I got it for Christmas whenever it first came out. So it's like it's one of my prized possessions of Zelda.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I definitely love this game. This is actually my number 9. Um, but which, by the way, like anything in my top 10, like is a game that I love and I go back to all the time. Um, and so, I mean, the wall phasing is just so cool.
yeah, yeah. It looks like it would be fun.
Yeah.
And I just love the Link to the Past world. So it is definitely a game I wanted to play. I just don't play a lot of handheld games these days. So
So, Link Between Worlds actually reminds me a lot of Tears of the Kingdom
mhm.
because you're going back to this map that you know so well. And so you kind of have an idea where everything's at, but some things are different.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of what Tears is for Breath of the Wild. That's what this is for Link to the Past. It's a lot of fun. Um, the only thing that I don't like about it is it's what everybody doesn't like about it, which is the fact that like you can do the dungeons in any order, and you have to buy the different or rent the different items from like Rolu or whatever his name is, um, which inherently doesn't sound bad.
It sounds terrible.
Well, so the problem that it runs into is the dungeons just aren't creative because like let's say you have to use the arrows to get into one dungeon. Well, that dungeon can only use arrows because it has to assume that you don't have bombs, or let's
Yeah,
say
that no, that does
yeah.
not sound like a good idea.
So it's number 9. It's a game that I like, but like that's one thing that really brings it down for me is that specifically. Um, I hate Triforce Heroes, and I never want to play it again.
All right, moving on. No.
Yeah, this is Four Swords, but worse.
it
Um,
it looks terrible.
no, it is not fun at all. And this is the opposite of doom and gloom. You know how you're like, oh, I feel like this game's a little, too gloomy or blah, blah. I mean, this game is about uh, a fashionista and making like a dress or something. I don't even remember. But yeah, I'll go ahead and we can put this on bad Zelda game made by Nintendo. um, Yeah, I'm not a fan. That's right. It's not just the CDI games. Speaking of the CDI games, I'm joking. We're not talking about those. Uh, we got Triforce Heroes, by the way, number 20, bottom of the list, F tier, hate it. We got Breath of the Wild. Here we go.
This
You want to start us off?
this is number 2 on my list, even though I don't consider it a Zelda game, which is weird to
Okay.
say. It just doesn't have, I think, the lack of dungeons and real items makes me say that. I feel like
Sure.
it's like a different type of game. But if you've seen the prototypes that they're looking at from straight down, it's basically the original Zelda game finally realized in 3D. Which I know is a weird thing to say, but uh, this game's great. I can still put this in and have a blast, and I've put several hours into this game and still find brand new things I've never seen. Um, and yeah, I know people complain about the weapon system, but I never really had a problem with that because weapons are easy to get. It's not like weapons are hard to find, you know. Um, and some of the shrines are clever, and it's just a very fun game.
So at one point, this was at the bottom of my list,
Mm-hmm.
but then I replayed it and I discovered my love for it, and so then at one point it was actually the number 4.
Mm-hmm.
It has firmly landed my number 6. It is just out of the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really enjoy it. I think the only problem with this game is a problem that I can compare to. I can compare it to Final Fantasy 4. I'm sorry, Final Fantasy 5. I can compare this to several of the Fire Emblem games. Um, I think that this game only gets really fun whenever you have someone explain it to you.
Okay.
And because like I was one of those that didn't like the weapon durability system and all that. And so whenever I finally went back to it, I restarted my save and I just started the game completely over. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna look up like not a guide, but like what's the first 10 things I'm supposed to do? Maybe I'm playing this game wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
it turns out I was playing the game wrong. Um, so that's why I say this. Some people obviously can figure it out better, but this was just a game that like I had to have someone tell me how to play it. Um,
Well,
and
this really harkened back to the first game where it just throws you in, and there's an old man that gives you something, and then it's just like, okay, go figure it out. And so I hadn't really experienced that since the first Zelda game.
sure,
Um, and so having played that type of game, I was fine with this, but I could understand people's frustration with the weapons and this and that and whatever.
yeah.
Um, but
Also, like I'm far enough away, and now that we have Tears of the Kingdom, I feel confident saying the Divine Beasts were just bad.
yeah,
Like,
that's probably my problem with the game is
yeah,
the dungeons and stuff. So it's weird. I will like if you ask me what my favorite game is, we'll ignore Tears of the Kingdom for now. For like a year ago, you say favorite game, I say Breath of the Wild. Favorite Zelda game, oh, Link to the Past. Like it's I don't consider this a Zelda game. It's very weird.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I do enjoy this game. One thing that I think this game does really well is actually the trek through um, the Lost Woods is so cool, where you have to like follow like the wind
Mm-hmm.
with a torch. It's so cool. So for me, the Lost Woods, like I don't even consider the Lost Woods and Link to the Past to be the Lost Woods because like it's just woods that you can just walk through whatever. But like to me, the Lost Woods is like you follow Soraya's song from
Oh sure, yeah.
from Ocarina of Time, and you can get lost in it. So if you harken back to that, that's what I'm about. And so that I love that in this. I actually haven't made my way to the Lost Woods in Tears yet, so I actually don't know if they brought that back or not.
I believe there is, but I haven't gone there either.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, do you have anything else to say about Breath of the Wild, or do you want to move on to Tears?
I thought this game was great but flawed, and then I realized how flawed it was when I played Tears of the Kingdom.
So yeah,
But I'll say this about Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Watching the video made me want to go play it, like Wind Waker.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's a good sign.
So Tears of the Kingdom for me, and I'll say this, and then I want to say this, and then you can start us off with Tears of the Kingdom. And I will just make sure that we're playing stuff from the island, so that way. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the spoiler banner up because
Sure.
we're at the point that I don't want to be held down.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna do like major spoilers, but yeah, we could talk about some stuff in that game, sure.
I mean, I still haven't beaten it myself, so
no. So let me ask you this: how far are you in the game?
I have beaten all 4 dungeons.
Okay, so you're definitely further than me,
and I have the Master Sword.
My son is way further along than probably both of us. So.
Yeah. So I have done all of like the dragon tiers. I have the Master Sword, and I've beaten all the. Those are all the major stuff, and I've beaten all the dungeons.
So I've beaten 1 dungeon, but I've done all the town side quests, and right now I'm working on building up my stamina wheel.
Okay, that was like the first thing that I did.
Yeah.
One thing I'll go ahead and let you know that you know how I said you have to have someone tell you how to play the game?
Yeah.
Work on your battery slots. They are more important than you initially think they are.
Sure, I can see that.
But anyway, so like I said, Breath of the Wild used to be my number 4, and then this game came out, and it was so good that it actually bumped it down farther than number 5, and it made it number 6.
Right.
So far, and this could obviously raise up the list. This is currently my number 4.
It's currently my number 1, but that's kind of like asterisk. I could definitely get to the game and go, okay, that was crap, But there's so many things.
You'd have to fumble really hard.
Yeah, there's so many things that this making me want to go play it. There's so many things.
I'm about to. So, do you want me to? So I'm on a. One thing that I found out is the difference between this and Breath of the Wild is once you beat the 4 dungeons, that's not the end of the game. That's like the halfway point.
Yeah, Jackson's has spoiled me on stuff. Like he's like, I need help with this fight, and so I saw some cutscenes I definitely didn't want to see yet.
Was it the Phantom Ganon?
Yeah.
Okay, so before we hopped on, that's why I was late, because I was trying to beat Phantom Ganon.
That's a fun fight.
Yeah. Which with the Forest Temple being my favorite dungeon of all time, and the Forest Temple's final boss being Phantom Ganon, I mean, like that. I mean, it's a different fight, but like it's just so cool that it kind of harkens back to my favorite.
So the first game, when Guardians would target you and it would start playing that that laser sound, it was your adrenaline shoot up. It was really scary. The hands are so much more scarier than the Guardians.
Oh my gosh, the hands.
They are terrifying. Anytime it was like, oh no.
So have you gotten into Which, I mean, at this point, we're not here to talk about our analysis of the game because we're still playing through it. The past is just kind of like our feelings. At this point, we're just going to talk about the game. Do you kind of have like a like your go-to weapons?
Go-to weapons.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm still kind of experimenting. I was using mushrooms on sticks to hit people that were flying. I had a lot of fun. Have you been to shoot? I forgot the name of the island in Breath of the Wild. They took away your weapons, and you
Oh yeah. What was it? Ever something. I thought
ever time or ever something. Not yeah.
Eventide Island.
Eventide. Have you been to it in this game?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and
It
you've
was so
already
much fun.
yeah. Trying to figure out how to get because I don't have a lot of hearts still. I only have like 4 hearts or 5 hearts.
Oh, okay.
So I die constantly. Trying to figure out how to sneak into that base was so much fun because I was like, okay, because I get because you look around, there's springs nearby, so making a spring shield and bouncing over the wall and just start taking everybody out, and then getting the little drones, building those, and sending them in to fight everybody. It was so much fun.
So I guess I had a different experience.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about this game is we can have different experiences.
Oh, totally. Like I'm watching this playthrough right now, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Yeah.
So for me, Eventide Island, I had already gotten a feel for because whenever I say your go-tos, so what I do is you can go to Hyrule Castle and be pretty safe if you go into the throne room, and there are so many royal guard weapons there that and they actually what they'll do is they actually respawn. What is happening here? What is this guy doing? I want to know.
See, this game, like there's so many like little Zelda channels I'm subscribed to that just post wacky videos of stuff you can do in this game. It's crazy.
I see what he's doing and I love it.
Yeah,
he's making a ladder.
This game is incredible. It really is.
Yeah. So anyway, there's so many royal guard weapons in the throne room of Hyrule Castle, and they actually respawn after blood moons. Mm-hmm. So every blood moon, I just go back there and I get.
I'll have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, because a lot of my weapons suck. So yeah.
So by the time that I got to Eventide Island, I was just like, okay, so I have this Royal Claymore. I have attached a Lionel horn to it, and I one-shot everybody.
Yeah, I did not have that. I had very weak weapons, so I had to like think it out. And that was also the first time I encountered a time bomb. I'm like, what is this?
Oh,
exploded.
Have you made the hover bike yet?
My son has, and
it's so fun. I felt like Tony Stark because Cameron and I we sat down, and I knew that you could make a hover bike, but I didn't want to know how to make it. I wanted to figure it out myself, and so I felt like Tony Stark in the first Iron Man movie, where he's like floating around and like keeps falling, almost expect.
It
like
was
Ron like a fire extinguisher.
Basically, this game is Nintendo watched Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts and said, "Oh, that's a cool idea, but that doesn't work." And then they fixed it to make a build system that actually works, and it's just a lot of fun.
And they're like, you know what? This Minecraft game, people seem to like it, and people also like Fortnite. Is there something to this building and mining thing? Should we do that? And then they did it, and it's the best.
It is so much fun, so addictive. And I've only done one dungeon. It was fine. I did the Rito, whatever.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Because Ascend is such a cool ability that
it is.
So it's so cool because it makes things so easy if you remember that you have it.
Yes, that is the thing. Remembering that you have rewind and ascend is like two of those things that you constantly forget.
You can rely on Ultra Hand too much. But I'm glad you brought that up because at first I was not on board with the way they were doing like the champion powers because I was like, oh man, I love Rivali's Gale and Mifa's Grace and all those.
Yeah.
But then I figured out what they were doing. Um, have you kind of figured it out yet?
I'm not sure what you're getting at. So
You have a party.
yeah. Yeah, like I watched my son play, and he has like a
Okay.
whole army. I told him it's like a gang beating down
Right, right.
and stuff.
And so you've got Tulin and Sidon, and like it's like a Final Fantasy party. And so at first I was like, oh, that's gonna be so annoying, have to switch between like different avatars and stuff. And then I'm like, oh wait, you can have all four of them out at the same time.
Yeah, it's just like a beat down.
It's so cool. And so now I'm on board, and I love it more than Rivali's Gale and Mifa's Grace and all that.
Yeah, and so for me, the game is because I only have Tulin. So for me, the game's still pretty challenging. Coming up with enemy encampments and stuff. But when I play like my son's game, it's just like everything dying. Yeah, this game is something else. It is the building system's so cool. There's so many more monsters. There's so many more caves and just hidden things everywhere. And the cut scenes are very dramatic and just it's a good Zelda game.
Exactly. And you know what? You said that Breath of the Wild is not a Zelda game. I think this is a Zelda game.
Oh yeah. This is a Zelda game. Breath of the Wild is not a Zelda game, but this is.
Yes. I think
Breath of the Wild is a tech demo,
which is funny because Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was a tech demo for Breath of the Wild.
Sure. Yeah.
Because if for anyone who didn't know, these games actually run on the Xenoblade engine, which is why we get so many Xenoblade games, is because the Xenoblade team actually gave Nintendo their Golden Goose engine. So now we're going to get as many Xeno games as they want to make. Sure. Because, see, I didn't even know that the Korok was here. I'll have to go back and get that one.
Did you know the other way you could finish these stone puzzles now? Is as long as you have a weapon with a stone on it, you can just sit it in the circle and it'll
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. By the way, I would like to salute all of my brothers and sisters in the Hylian Korok space program.
Yes.
Launching Koroks into space.
You have to wonder how much Nintendo thought people would mess with the Koroks. I have to think they did not think they would go as far as they have. I mean, obviously the components there to build vehicles to put them in, but the crucifixions and stuff.
Crucifixion. Oh man! So whenever this game first came out, Cameron would send me like daily all of these videos from Twitter about the different crew. And so he stopped sending it, but now he's sending me and I'll have to send these things to you. People are making like John Deere machines, like someone made a lawnmower.
Yeah, someone made like an orbital laser platform. And I haven't really even messed with the building system yet. I mean, I'll do a little bit here and there, but there's so much of the game I haven't even done yet.
So that's why I say definitely be on the lookout for a lot of your battery. Because whenever you start building a whole lot, you're going to want all that battery.
Yeah.
So the lawnmower that he showed me. So what it is it's a way to like collect stuff, because the way they've built their lawnmower is it goes over like the Hyrule field, and then there's like a little scoop in the back, and so it catches whatever it finds, and so that's how he's literally farming rupees.
Yeah, I've seen the boats that are like that, where they scoop up all the dead fish, and then they'll do an auto build of a pile of fish, and then
Yeah.
just collect all the fish, or an auto build of apples, and just walk through the orchard and just collect all the apples.
By the way, I went through all 4 dungeons not having auto build. I didn't get auto build until like
Oh no!
Thursday. I didn't get auto build until like Thursday.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I got to figure
Apparently,
out.
apparently, I'm not the only one. Apparently, auto build is easy to miss.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, what's her name sent you on a quest to go down there?
yeah.
So,
Well,
but I
the
had already
depths
done that
scared me.
before.
The depths scared me.
I'm in the depths all the time. So
I'm in the depths. So have you done the Master Koga stuff yet?
I've encountered him. I
Okay,
haven't. Yeah,
so you have to chase. You know, you have to chase after him. You do that 4 times.
I haven't done
Um,
all that yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't do any of it until like recently, and that's whenever I started adventuring into the depths.
Mm.
Which come to find out, the depths is where a lot of the cool. So where you get a lot of the good armor pieces is going to be in the sky and in the depths.
Yeah, I haven't really been in the sky that much.
I did,
So
yeah, I did as much as you were in the depths, I was in the sky.
yeah, I haven't really gotten up there yet. So like I said, I've been mostly doing just trying to knock out a bunch of the little side quests, the villages.
Have you got the glide suit yet?
No,
That's probably why you haven't gone up in the sky yet.
probably.
Once once you get that glide suit, you're just like, oh man, I want to be in the sky all the time.
Yeah, Jackson has something where it's like a non-impact suit where he just jumps off things and doesn't hurt him. It's crazy.
So that is the glide suit if you fully upgrade it.
Yeah.
I have I still haven't found. I've been playing this game for 2 weeks. I still haven't found a single Great Fairy Fountain. I
Oh,
have not.
I found two of those. I can't get them
I'm
to open, but
I'm gonna need you to send them to me because I have not upgraded any of my armor.
I found the horse and then I found one other one. But yeah, I found the horse, the creepy horse fairy.
um, also, I called the twist, which spoilers, and you've already seen it. There came a point where I'm like, that's not Zelda.
Yeah, they kind of spell it out for you.
There comes so whenever you whenever they hint at it at Death Mountain, and then whenever you go to Zora's domain, it is blatantly obvious.
Yeah. Well, so you haven't played it since you beat FamCan, have you?
No,
Uh,
I actually haven't beaten Phantom Ganon because we had to come to
oh,
the podcast.
so minor spoiler: the blood
Go ahead.
moons change after that. She doesn't narrate them anymore because that was Phantom Ganon narrating them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, do do blood moons happen more often, maybe, or
Oh, I don't know. I don't know,
I
but I
would
just know
love that.
I like that. I love the narration though, where she's like real spooky and talking about the
Yeah,
blood moon. It's great.
I definitely wonder. Have you do you know anything about like the dragon tears or anything like that?
Is that the memories?
Yeah.
I've gotten like four of them so far.
Okay.
So I'm getting bits and pieces of the story like way out of order, but that's
Sure.
fine.
Uh,
Um,
that was one of the things that like I'm intentionally not looking things up. I had to at least look up the puzzle because they're actually whenever I found out that there's actually a puzzle for it, then I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I did not want to do the memories out of order. It was just too complicated. And so, have you done the first memory with Impa?
yes.
And so you know the room with all the dragon tears and stuff, with like the big map at the Forbidden Temple.
No.
Oh, that's part of the. Okay.
I haven't done that.
Okay.
I just find the drawings on the side of mountains and stuff, and then I go
Okay.
find the things.
Well, I mean, that's part of the initial quest with Impa, so that's weird that she didn't have you go there. But so you go
She
to the
probably mentioned it, and I probably forgot.
okay. Well,
There's
so
this game is a nightmare for people with ADHD.
so you go to the Forbidden Temple, which it's so cool that like there's all this Zonai stuff for in Breath of the Wild, and like everyone had these deep dives into the Forbidden Temple, and now it's all paying off in this game.
Yeah, yeah.
So you go to the Forbidden Temple, and so you go under the Forbidden Temple, and there's actually a map that shows you where they all are. Now it doesn't tell you.
Oh,
Now it doesn't exactly tell you what
right.
order they're in. However, on the wall, it's like a weird hexagonal. There's each on the wall. They are actually in order on the walls.
Okay.
And
Cool.
so whenever I figure that out, I'm like, okay, so I can still find them on my own and do the puzzle and not have to look it up. So that's cool. And so that's what I did. I sort of looked it up because I didn't want to do them out of order, but I didn't spoil the game for me, which was great.
Yeah, I've got the story all out of order, which is fine. It's fine. I'm like, okay. So at some point, Dan betrays him. At some point, I'm piecing it together, which is it's fine for me.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
I'll
that's.
I'll
I mean
figure
that
it all out. But
I think doing the champion memories in Breath of the Wild out of order was actually part of the charm.
Mhm.
But as far as Zelda is concerned, that's one of the weird things. I've done all the Dragon Tear memories, and I'm still not entirely sure where she's at this moment in time. Because if that was Ganon the whole time, then where's Zelda at?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, this game is. There's certain games that are must own for a system. My brother is not a Zelda guy. I'm trying. I was trying to get him to Breath of the Wild forever. I think this is a must own game.
just show him the mechs that people are making.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you just start talking about like, oh, Zelda. I'm like, yeah, build an airplane, and you're like, what? Are you sure you're playing Zelda?
There is no point to horses anymore.
No, and my stupid horse won't like in Breath of the Wild. You could be a whole world away and whistle, and eventually the horse would show up. This game, they don't do that.
Yeah.
So that may be one thing I don't like about this one is the horse. You have to go get them.
Yeah.
So, but
I accidentally got my horse stuck somewhere, and they've been stuck there for 2 weeks.
yeah, I don't know if the horse god will fix that. I know he brings them back to life, but I don't. Actually, I think the stables will go get your horse for you.
I might have to look into that because
So I think
mean,
you just say, "Go get my horse" or whatever. They'll go get it.
okay.
I think.
Um,
But there's
but
so
yeah,
many things to unlock in this game and do like there's a whole stable thing where you can unlock like armor for your horse and stuff. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. You get like it's like the Chick-fil-A or the Starbucks app where like the
Right.
more times you go, the more points you get. It's like
Right.
you get a free scone with your coffee.
And then if you get so far along, the stables are like, oh, if you go take a picture of this, I'll paint a picture of it. You're like, what? It's just all this weird stuff.
It's a great game, and like I said, it's my number 4. There is a high likelihood that it will be more than that or be higher than that by the end of
Yeah.
this.
I definitely have recency bias with this right now, but I don't care. It's just fun.
I loved that puzzle with the clock hands. It was so cool.
Yeah, and I've seen people solve it several different ways. So yeah.
So this is actually, I don't want this to be the last time we have a show about this game because I've had conversations with my friends about the timeline placement.
Let's both finish the game, and then
Yeah.
in a couple months we'll come back and do a big timeline discussion.
Because there are
I,
implications.
yeah, there are definitely implications here.
I like just preview for people. Has Ganondorf been down there for every Zelda game?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around. They're talking about the Zonai coming down from the sky, and then you have the events of Skyward Sword. I'm like, okay, I can't. How do these two events fit together?
Yeah, so those are the two things. Is do the memories take place before or after Skyward Sword?
Yeah,
And B, um, has Ganondorf been down there this whole time?
yeah, and so we'll get there. I don't want to continue the discussion too much further because we'll probably start spoiling stuff I haven't gotten to yet. But yeah, this game is so good.
Yeah, it definitely is. Oh man, is and um, I sent you the aim for the bushes video, right?
Yeah,
You know what? Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can. Well, that's how we'll end the show. Is I'll see if I can find.
I think the music might get us in trouble. Doesn't have the music.
Foo Fighters are my boys, though.
I guess our first copyright strike.
You know what? If my first copyright strike is from the Foo Fighters, I consider that an honor.
All right, I'll allow it this one time. We'll get this video claimed.
Oh man, where's it at? Where's it at?
How bad's the language in Other Guys? I can't remember. I'm trying to see if I can watch it with my parents or not because I get kind of easily offended by stuff.
I mean, it was PG-13.
Yeah, they have a real problem. They drop GDs. I'm trying to remember how the GDs were. I do remember there was a scene where Will Ferrell kept having his wife send the dirty messages back and forth.
Yeah, that I don't remember.
I don't either.
I really only pay attention to like the F-bomb because like that's what my mom is.
Yeah, my parents, it's GD for them. If they say GD, they freak out. So,
right, so here we go. All right. By the way, if for anyone who, oh, it's not popping up. Dang it. Dang it, because I have Opera GX, and so I was pulling it up through Opera GX, but I don't know. Well, you know what? Anything else closing?
There's so many little things in this game that could be their own game. The building system, the puzzles with the sign, holding up the sign right. Sometimes with their Zelda games, they'll do this, or they'll throw in like a lot of little mini games into the main game, and it's just awesome. There is part of me is like, is it too much? That's crammed into this game. I don't know, but I just think this is just one of the best games ever made.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird to be living because like I'm of the generation where all the greatest stuff ever made was before my time. Quote unquote. It's so cool to like experience a classic as it comes out.
And there are people that could argue that Nintendo was done. They Skyward Sword was a stinker. They'll never make another great Zelda game. And now look at where we're at.
Right.
All
right. This goes out to all my other guys.
All right. I don't hear it, by the way.
You don't hear it?
No.
Does
Anyhow,
we're gonna go ahead and watch it. It's My Hero by Foo Fighters.
yeah. If you if you've never seen the opening scene to the other guys, Google it. It's one of the funniest scenes in any movie ever.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's just this the whole movie's pretty good too, but that sequence with The Rock and Samuel Jackson, Aim for the Bushes, still makes me laugh. It is so silly. It's great.
Oh, speaking of, we whenever I went up to Cleveland to see Blink 182, they actually had a Wahlburgers up there.
Oh, cool.
And so we went to Wahlburgers for dinner, and they actually had some other guys' memorabilia. And we couldn't help but quote the other guys the whole time we were there.
Sure, yeah. Look, he's flying.
I think the one that Ben kept doing was the sound of your piss hitting the urinal. It sounds feminine.
Yeah. So, how about for next week? I don't know. Have we done a show about our top 10 favorite comedies?
I don't believe so. That could get a little risky, but yeah, we can do it.
Yeah, let's do that next week. Top 10 favorite comedies. I'm sure our list will be completely different.
I have a lot of modern comedies that I love.
And I don't watch a lot of modern movies, so I'm sure you'll be saying stuff that I'm like, what? Sure, we'll do that next week. But until then, I've been Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
And we will talk to you next week. See ya.
Bye-bye.